As we get deeper in the NBA season, we're seeing more and more teams that I think should be looking to sell and just start pivoting towards a rebuild ASAP. We're going to start off talking about three of those teams, but if there's any team that you guys think should be mentioned that I didn't mention in today's video, feel free to post it down below in the comments. Anyway, my name is DFree. Welcome to the Basketball Bulletin, where Trevor and I cover the entire league across. And if you guys are interested in it, make sure you subscribe and stick around for more content. About 80% of the viewers aren't subscribed. So what are you doing? Make sure you join that 20% that is going forward. The like goal for today's video is 300 likes. And again, post down below what you guys think. So the funny thing with this, just to give you guys a little bit of context, is that I think there are so many teams that are kind of in a weird spot with this. So for example, it's already kind of spoiled. You can technically already see what I'm going to do. Maybe I shouldn't have told you that because you guys already can tell. But regardless, I think there are so many teams that are kind of like in between where it's like they absolutely should be looking to just rebuild right now if possible. I think that that's very true across the board. And, you know, the funny thing is when I try to put this video together, I was thinking, okay, well, do I want to focus on specific teams at the bottom of the list? Like the Raptors, the Wizards, the Hornets, or do I want to look at some of the teams that are underperforming? Think the Sixers. And it's funny with the Sixers, they're just a couple games out of play-in range already. Thank you, Eastern Conference. But regardless, did I want to focus on some of those teams? And so you have a little bit of a mixed bag. So without further ado, let's dive in. The Pelicans. Some of these teams, just for the record, are really obvious choices that they definitely need to kind of just reset. They need a reset. And I don't know that a team needs a reset more than the Pelicans do right now. They have had horrendous luck losing most of their players, most of their rotation guys at some point during the season. And they've had their main guys go out for a really long period of time. Think Brandon Ingram, Zion, DeJounte Murray earlier this season, things like that. And they've just kind of dealt with a lot this year. And it felt like it just avalanched on them where one happened, the next one happened, the next one happened, so on and so forth. And another reason to try to consider for some of these teams to just reset is because you may have your draft pick and they're in a position where they do. If you look at their draft picks available this year, they've got their own picks. So they control their destiny this year. So they could really bottom out this thing and be like, okay, we're going to go forward. We're going to get our pick. Maybe we'll get a good player or a high draft pick player like Cooper Flag is the most popular name in the draft. But there's some other guys that are amazing. They also have Milwaukee's pick if it's protected, which is funny because Brooklyn has the other protection range on it. So you're going to see that in a minute. But I think these guys absolutely should be looking to sell. And the thing about it is that they I think are switching to this mindset because there have been reports about how they're basically willing to listen to offers on anybody or are willing to trade basically anybody that's not Herb Jones, Yves Missy. I think there was another player in there as well. There was a fourth player, but Trey Murphy. And I think there was one more player. I'm not sure exactly who that was. Trev did a video on it earlier today, but one of their other younger guys. So basically, they're open. They're open to trading basically everybody. So if they can, they should be trying to ship out CJ. They should be trying to ship out Tice. Now, I don't know if every single player is available right now throughout this video, by the way. Like, I don't know if Tice is playing right now. I can obviously do this and see if he's active. He is active. Boom. But they should be trying to realistically ship everybody out. BI got hurt. He's out clearly, but they should be trying to get rid of him if possible. DeJounte is a weird one because he's 28. They just traded for him. They're in a weird spot because they're going to want to try to extract the same value that they got or that they had to give up for him just a few months back. Can you get that? I don't know. And then the really, really big one here is Zion. Are they going to try to flip Zion? Trev has been arguing for it. It's possible, but I think they've got a really good chance to kind of reset. And the crazy thing is that if they do it right, I don't think they'd be down and out for very long. I think they could rebound this thing within a few years and get back to being at least what they are now, right? The tricky thing is if you're them, if you're the GM, if you're organization, you're looking at this team and you're like, man, this is our best team we've had in the Zion era on paper, at least, because it's a theoretical team, because we've never actually seen these guys play together. We've never actually seen this thing on the court. Like, they traded for DeJounte, trying to make a big splash. And at the time, it was awesome. I think he can be awesome. I really like the theoretical build with him and Zion getting downhill, putting rim pressure, all that. I think this team could be really fun to watch. They've got Murphy, Jones. I think this could be a really fun team to watch. It's just unfortunate that they haven't been able to get healthy. And so if you're looking at it from that perspective, if you're the organization, I can see how you could kind of cope with that mentally and be like, let's run it back. Let's see what we have next year, minus BI, because he's probably going to be gone regardless. But I do think they should just try to bottom out, at least for this year. At least for this year. Realistically, I think they should flip it all, but at least for this year, they should just call it and just get a high draft pick and then retool around that next year. So next one up on our list is Brooklyn. This is a team that has started this a little bit with the Schroeder trade and stuff like that. Quite simply, they were winning too much, so they needed to let some talent go. And the best way to get into a tank is to take the tools away from the coach, because the coach isn't trying to tank. They have no incentive to tank most of the time, right? They're not trying to go out there and tank. The players aren't trying to tank. But if the organization takes that away from the coach, then he has no choice but to kind of just use what he has. So I think they're going to take a few more tools away. And some of these guys, again, I don't think Bojan has played yet, but he could be somebody if he gets out there and plays at any point. But he's still at least a contract they could try to move off of. Nick Claxton, do they want they signed him to that extension? He's on a nice deal. Do they want to kind of flip him? I think that's possible. The big names, though, are the forward combo of Dorian Finney-Smith and Cam Johnson. I think with those guys, they're going to try to extract as much value as possible. Are you guys willing to give up? How many first-round picks are you willing to give up for Cam alone? That's a really interesting question, because some people will say one, some people will say two, some people will say none. With maybe some two with protection on one or something like that. I think that he is going to be somebody that they're going to try to hold out as long as they can to get the best deal possible. I don't think they're expecting to get 5 or whatever it was from Mikal. I don't think they're expecting that, obviously. And that in and of itself was a unique situation, because the Nets were the Knicks were in a position where they wanted to get him really badly, and they drove the price up on him, and they were like, all right, we'll take it. So I think that they're going to try to hold out until they can probably get 2 first-round picks. And Cam is somebody that I think can – and DFS is really good too, but there's a 3-year age gap there too. But I think Cam is somebody that can plug onto basically any team in the league, any team, and fit perfectly, plug-and-play character. Too much gaming for me. Sometimes people ask me, like Donnie, why don't you breathe? Or why do you talk so fast? It's because – I've been running my own individual gaming channel for the last 10 years. And so for me, my brain is going, so I just got to go, So anyway, he's somebody I think could plug and play anywhere and be a nice fit. So they're going to definitely try to move off him. Can they do something with Ben Simmons? They don't have to move Day'Ron Sharpe, but they could do something there. I think he's young to where, like, you can kind of keep him in your organization if you wanted to do that. But till now, I don't think that they've committed to him. Cam Thomas, 24. I like Cam a lot. I think he could be useful in a lot of teams. As a 6th man scorer off the bench, I think that's going to be one of his best roles in the league. Not to say he can't be a starting guard anywhere, but I think that a lot of teams would value him as a bench microwave scorer type player. And then last but not least, they've still got some other guys here that they can definitely ship off. And then there's a lot of young guys in their organization that they would like to try to get minutes for, to develop and see what they have with some of those guys. But I wanted to talk about their picks. So once again, another situation where they've got their own pick. They actually just traded for it back, I believe, this offseason. Here's that Milwaukee pick where it's protected 1 through 4. I'm not sure how this worked to get that same pick on both 5 through 30 here. What happened here? I have no clue. But so they've got their own pick again here. They've got another pick here. OKC has the right to swap its 2025 pick with Houston. Okay. So nonetheless, they've got a lot of 2025 assets. So you could definitely look at this immediate year and then look at the couple years going forward after that and see what you wanted to do. And so, like I said earlier, I definitely thought about multiple teams. And I was like, do I want to say Miami, for example? I think Miami may benefit from like a pivot right now. Not a tear down, but like a pivot. And that probably starts with a Jimmy Butler trade, if possible. If possible, I don't know, but if possible. But there's a lot of teams. Like, I think there's a lot of teams that could benefit from a pivot. Even if it's not like a hard teardown, right? I think that a lot of teams could benefit from that. Like, talking about Miami, Jimmy Butler, Phoenix, I think could really benefit from a pivot. Sacramento, same deal. The Lakers could benefit from a couple trades here. But no, in all seriousness, though, I settled on the Jazz. I think the Jazz are in a weird spot because, typically when you see a team like them, they've got a lot of players on their roster, or several players on their roster that could be useful elsewhere. Like Colin Sexton, I think, is somebody that a lot of teams will try to trade for. Lauri Markkanen can't be traded this year, but if he was eligible to be traded this year, I think most teams would be calling about him as well. Walker Kessler, of course, has been a popular name out there on the market for a long time. They've got more guys like John Collins as well. So they've Clarkson too. They've got several guys on this roster that they should be looking to try to deal. And I do think at least a couple of the names I just mentioned are going to get moved. Maybe even a lower guy like Drew Eubanks or something like that winds up getting moved. But they have a lot of guys on this roster that they could flip off. And I think flip off. but I do think that they are a team that doesn't have to do that, because when you look at a lot of these teams, you see it and it's like, okay, well, they definitely are going to want to tank. They're definitely going to want to tank. This team's won 7 games. They don't, and that's with all these guys on their roster. Some of them playing, some of them not. The thing is that they don't have to actually move somebody to move lower. And because the draft odds have been flattened out to where you don't have to literally be the worst team in the league to have the best shot possible at the number one pick, it doesn't. There's less incentive to do so, which is why they changed the rule in the first place, to my understanding. So with them and Patty Mills too, I don't even know if he's playing or not. Has he played? Probably is. Yeah, he's active. I don't know if he's in the rotation though. But the point is that they don't kind of have to do that. But I do think this is a team that's going to be another seller, and also a team that's going to take on some contracts that maybe some of these other teams are willing to try to ship out and help them out in that regard. Similarly to when they traded with the Lakers a couple years ago, they took on that big expiring from Russ, things like that. I guess that's a mutual benefit. But regardless, I think they're in a good position to try to get as much value as they can out of some of these guys, especially guys like Colin Sexton. Walker Kessler is somebody that they're another guy that they're trying to get 2 first-round picks for, and is a crazy good rim protector, defensive player. When you look at the advanced numbers, Trevor and I did that in a separate video. I just don't know if he's going to be there's been conflicting reports anyway. Like, they don't want to trade him. They want to trade him. There's been a lot of that going on, but he's a weird one because he's making just under $3 million, but he's going to balloon to like 20, 25 is what I'm guessing for the next handful of years. And for a starting center, that's not all that bad, but the team has to really be willing to pay him for his next contract. So I don't really know what the value looks like in that regard. But regardless, so I do think that this team is another one that should be looking to sell. But again, I do think all these teams are going to be looking to sell. The only one that's a little bit interesting, I think, is the Pelicans. They've said that they're willing to do it. Are they truly? We'll see what happens. But anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Earlier today, Trevor did a video, so you guys can click on it right now on the screen before you go. And we'll see you all over there. Thank you. And by the way, Merry Christmas and happy holidays as well to you guys. Just a couple days away. So in case I don't see you again.